What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here, bringing another video. Today I wanted to do a video on Power Rangers Dino Charge episode 16. I know it came out the other day. Sorry I couldn't release it the day of. I had other things going on and I was a little busy. Anyway, the episode is entitled No Matter How You Slice It. It's a kind of a cliche episode. Power Rangers has done the general concept of this episode. Sentai's even done it, which is the Japanese equivalent to Power Rangers, as well as a lot of other shows that are typically seen in kids shows, and even sometimes in older forms of media definitely have it, for adults. So it's not a new concept, but it's okay. It was expected for them to do it at one point, and it's fine. So the episode starts off with us seeing Curio and Poisandra teasing the monsters that are in Sledge's, prison cell area in his ship with some keys that, they would use to open up the jail cells because, they want to get out, obviously, because, monsters don't want to stay in there. So the thing is that they're goofing around and they're also acting very friendly to each other because, the whole entire purpose behind, Curio even, being around Poisandra in the first place is because Sledge, originally wanted to, they wanted to get married, Sledge and Poisandra, but the thing is that, they have to get the energems and all that, and that's like Sledge's bigger priority over getting married right now. So in order for him to distract Poisandra and keep her busy so that she's not bored and annoyed or whatever, Curio was used to act as, something to keep her busy and act as a friend to her. So they act all friendly and everything, and at one point, one of the monsters notices this. Now this monster, really, his name isn't mentioned until late into the episode, and you can barely even hear it, but I looked it up just in case so that I would get it right, and his name is Sheer Fear. Personally, unlike a lot of the previous ones where I actually kind of understood their logic behind the name, this one's kind of like, I guess that must have just been a name that they just thought of on the spot. Sometimes they have names that actually make a lot of sense. This one really doesn't have anything that's connected to, like, his concept, so it's more or less just a name that's supposed to be, a monstrous name or something like that. So, it's fine. Anyway, what happens is that Sheer Fear notices this connection that Poisandra and Curio have, and he has these special, like, kind of like monocle like glasses that he can use to observe the lines, the bonds that connect them, and see it out of there and see where they're connected. And he has special scissors that are ridiculously long, which is pretty typical for a lot of this stuff, and he's able to cut them and cut the bonds and make them hate each other and act as foes to each other rather than as friends. Seeing this, the two of them he does cut their bonds, and then they get annoyed at each other and walk away. The monster, Sheer Fear, begins to laugh, and then suddenly Sledge appears. Sledge grabs Sheer Fear's scissors and says, "You better undo that, but first I need you to deal with the Rangers. I need you to cut their bonds." Obviously, seeing how, this could help me, Sledge does this. So at that point, Sheer Fear is sent out to go deal with the Rangers, and in the meantime we see the Rangers are doing some work outside in the woods, and we see that Riley is kind of depressed because it's apparently his birthday, and he's trying to contact his mother, who apparently is known for typically saying happy birthday or whatever, and just knowing that it's his birthday or whatever, and so he was kind of depressed about this. Coda, seeing Riley in a funk, really wants to comfort him and understand what's going on, and he is informed, but Riley wants to keep things secret about his birthday and everything, and about how he's feeling about his parents. So so Riley tells Coda not to tell any of the other Rangers. So he agrees to do that. Obviously, only to so much of an extent, knowing how things can be typically. But anyway, and when I say typically, I mean in regard to the fact that most of the time in shows when they say that, usually it's not kept. Usually it's informed by the Rangers. Like, they're gonna know at one point or another. Just so that if anyone's curious as to what I mean, I want to make it clear so that no one's confused. Anyway, following this, the Rangers go nearby a sand dune area, which is sloping over down a hill or whatever, and it looks nice. And they all decide to go on like boards. Like, some of them are you know, things that you'd use like on on like a snowboard or something like that, or something that you can lay on your stomach or on your belly or on your back and ride down the sand dune. So they all try to do that. Shelby even like turns on her camera phone and captures the whole sequence of events that goes on through that. And they're all having fun going down the hill, even though it's dangerous. And eventually they end up at the bottom. And at one point, Shelby loses her phone. So at that point, the Rangers know that they want to help Shelby obviously find her phone, since, you know, they're friends and everything. Seeing this, we suddenly see Sheer Fear hiding in some bushes, getting ready to look at their bonds of friendship. So he suddenly moves his monocle-like device so he can see their bonds, and he begins to cut almost every one of their bonds other than Riley's and Coda's. What happens is that the four Rangers, including Tyler, Chase, Shelby, and Ivan, have their bonds cut. At that point, Sheer Fear is spotted by the Rangers, and they begin to fight the monster. But more so, those Rangers that had their bonds connected end up fighting each other and end up deciding to walk away and like not make a big deal of the whole fighting sequence at all, and not really care. The thing is that following this, some Vivixes are summoned, and soon after, Sheer Fear tries to cut Coda's bond with the Rangers and just in general. And the thing is that when he tries to do that, his bond is so strong that when Sheer Fear tries to cut Coda's bond, it actually breaks Sheer Fear's scissors. So Sheer Fear obviously freaks out and surprised at how strong his bond is. Now, at first when I saw that, I was kind of confused because I wasn't really sure what that was meant to imply. But then I realized after the fact, it's like, oh, okay, I see what they're trying to do. It makes some sense. It's a little weird, but I get it. It's also because of the way they set it up. It's not the most clear, but then after you hear about it later, you kind of get it. So anyway, following this, what happens is that eventually Sheer Fear obviously has to retreat, and the Vivixes retreat with him, and the Rangers end up going back to the museum cafe that they work at, and they're planning on making some like sweet dish or something like that, like some dessert. And the thing is that they begin to fight with each other, and there's all this fighting. But the thing is that Riley and Coda seem neutral, so the four other Rangers have to be sat down in the base and talked to about like how they're losing their connection to each other, and that the monster caused them to lose their ties of friendship. So at that point, the Rangers are like, you know what? Forget this. And the four of them just decide to walk out. Now, the problem with this is not only the fact that they shouldn't walk out, but also the fact that if they are separated from their energems and lose that connection and have this energy surge that they're having, eventually they'll lose their ranger powers entirely. So obviously this was a dire situation where they really where the Rangers and Kendall and Keeper needed to figure out a way to solve this problem with the energems. So knowing this, eventually Riley decides to well, actually, no, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. What happens is that eventually, seeing how the friendship's not working, they try to do some trust building things, such as like doing like trust fall exercises and also some one-legged races, which are both unsuccessful because they're either distracted or they're just not cooperative with each other. So it's just not very good. But eventually, they do bail on Coda, Riley, and Keeper and Kendall. But then eventually, Riley looks at the video footage of the Rangers when they were going sand duning and shows it to the other Rangers at one point. But eventually also sees something when the other Rangers had left, that apparently when the monster tried to cut Coda's bond, the bond ended up breaking the scissors. So he begins to realize, maybe we could work something out, and maybe we could do something clever so that the monster breaks his scissors again, because it's pretty clear that he's probably going to repair them. Which does end up happening following this, because we end up seeing up in space that Wrench ends up repairing Sheerfear's scissors, and Sheerfear is told not to destroy Koda's bond because it's too strong. So then Sheerfear says, "I'm going to destroy Riley's bond and then Koda's bond, because then at that point it will be weakened to the point that there will only be one of them," which makes a lot of sense. But obviously, as I mentioned before, they wanted to figure out a plan. So back on Earth, they Riley and Koda sit on a bench. The thing is that each of them are dressed as each other. So what happens is that seeing as to how he wants to cut Riley's bond so that he can then cut Koda's bond, he sees who's dressed like Riley and he cuts it, which is really Koda. So the thing is that when that happens, the scissors break because he cut the wrong bond, not knowing, because they were dressed in each other's outfits. So it's kind of a funny moment, but it makes a lot of sense. And at that point, they end up taking the part of the scissors that broke and use it to restore the Rangers' bonds of friendship and restore the Energems, which were losing power at that point. So eventually, the Rangers gain back their power, gain back their friendship, and they join Riley and Koda back in the forest, where they fight. Sheerfear, as well as Curio and Wrench. So all of them are fighting. They're all doing good stuff, and they're working as a team. In fact, for the first time, Riley uses the Terra Energem, the Terranon Energem or whatever, and uses it with the sword. And at the same time, Ivan uses it as well, and they do a final strike, and they destroy Sheerfear. The other Rangers destroy Wrench and Curio. Well, they don't destroy them; they just damage them because they're still around. They haven't destroyed them yet. Anyway, you get the point. Yeah, they're not destroyed. Right, Sheerfear is destroyed. Anyway, following this, Wrench summons Aviva Zord, and eventually summons a second one. But then following this, the Rangers use the Dino Charge Megazord. They go into Dino Drive mode, and they begin to fight the Vivazord. Eventually, Sheerfear joins the party, and another Vivazord joins the party following this, and suddenly the Rangers are in distress. So then, following this, the Terror Charge Megazord is summoned, and it begins to fight the Vivazord and Sheerfear. So, in order to help the Terror Charge Megazord, which is actually struggling, Chase, Riley, and Ivan actually combine their Zords for the first time, which is a known combination, but it was one that actually I don't believe had been shown yet. So it was cool for that purpose. That's one of the things I would say that was one of the big payoffs of this episode, was the whole entire fact that those three mechs got to combine for once, which hadn't really happened yet. It had always been like, the main Dino Charge Megazord with the Terror Charge, the Terror Charge Zord, or the Terror Zord, but that was it. So now the two separate mechs, all six Zords are used together. Used in two separate mechas, but still, cool battle. They destroy the Vivazord, they destroy Sheerfear, and it's very, very good. Following this, we see up in space Sledge reprimanding Wrench for not being successful with Sheerfear, even though it was like Sledge made Sheerfear go out in the first place. So really, it's not like Wrench's fault, but Wrench has been blamed for a good number of things recently, like for a couple of recent episodes, so it's not that surprising that he would blame him again. I mean, he was basically left in charge of him when he went down for the second time to deal with the Rangers. So, I guess. Anyway, following this, obviously Riley earlier was depressed about not hearing from his parents and was already upset. But the thing is that this time he heads towards the base, he puts his Energem away, and then he notices that the lights are out, and he's like, how do you even turn the lights on? And that's always a good question. It's like, how do you turn the lights on in the base? Because it's usually always on. So at that point, he's kind of confused, and he just like says it out loud, and suddenly the lights turn on, and all the Rangers jump out in surprise, and also Keeper and Kendall are there, and it's all good. They're all wearing party hats, they have cupcakes and cake and other things, and it's very nice, and Riley's very happy. And they explained that they had been planning a party for Riley for a long time. They had just been pretending to not remember it was his birthday intentionally, just so that, you know, they wouldn't it wouldn't be obvious to him that it would be happening, and it would be more of a surprise, obviously. So they're all happy, and Riley's like, I just wish I would have been able to speak to my to my mother, and maybe my brother. And the thing is that suddenly, on a big screen that they're able to view, which is like their communication screen, he gets to speak to his parents and sees them. He gets to see his mother and his brother and also his dog personally, and gets to speak to them. And he's very happy, and it's all good. And they all get, and then it's a very nice conversation. And following this, the Rangers then decide to celebrate and enjoy themselves. And that's about it for this episode. Now, it's a very nice episode. It's very sweet. Obviously, the Terror Charge Megazord combining with black and green Zords is a nice combination to finally have shown, and it was something that was going to happen soon because, you know, there's not that much time left. And the next episode, we're supposed to be getting, finally, our first appearance of our Purple Ranger. So it should be interesting to see that. Obviously, for those that are aware, we're supposedly supposed to get the male version first. So it will be interesting to see how they do that, and whether or not they're going to reveal his identity to begin with, or if it's going to become something like at the very end of the episode or something else. Who knows? We don't really know yet, but apparently next episode we're supposed to already get Purple. So it should be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing Purple. I know that's next. And for those that are not aware, I recently did some discussions about the summaries that are supposed to happen for episodes 18, 19, and 20, which basically 20 is the last episode other than the Christmas special, which I don't really count because the Christmas special, though it's something, it's not like, I feel like it's not directly connected, and it's not directly connected to the main story. Like, it's just there as an episode, so don't necessarily consider it. I don't typically consider the specials, unless there's something wonderful or great as something to really talk about. But, you know, if you guys really want me to, I would totally do it. It's just, I need to know from you guys if you want me to do it. Please tell me, because I don't know. But it's not like I can't do it. I could totally do it. I just need to know. So keep me informed. That's going to be like in December, so you still have some time. And that's about it, guys. So bye-bye. Again, this has been Crazy 71. Bye-bye. Wrong thing. See ya.